The howl of a dire
They are
wolf
cute.
hasn't been
Oh my
heard
God,
on
I want
planet
one.
Earth for more than 10,000 years. That's because the species is extinct. Or was.
Yeah, bring back an extinct species and release it into the wild. What could possibly go wrong? It's not like we've seen this film literally 100 times. The left versus reality. We're going to do this as an ongoing segment, but today we want to spend some time on Nature Edition. You know, if you want to understand how to best conserve, for example, a species or certain environments, we kind of know how to do that now. Hand it over to hunters. Because they have a vested interest, for example, in maintaining healthy deer, elk populations. They don't just want to go out and, dump a bunch of red paint on your fur coat. And when you look at a lot of the environmental regulations, the intrusions that are designed to solve a problem, there are many examples where we've tried to play God and have made it worse. So as a jumping off point, not that this is a catastrophe, but it's potentially a minor screw up, this week, Colossal Biosciences, they introduced what they claim were the first ever de-extinct species, these dire wolf pups, to the world.
The howl of a dire
They are
wolf
cute.
hasn't been
Oh my
heard
God, I
on
want
planet
one.
Earth for more than 10,000 years. That's because the species is extinct. Or was. Colossal Biosciences is a Dallas-based company that's using genetic engineering to
this boring
de-extinct long-gone species.
It became abundantly clear that we need new tools and technologies for conservation. And so we thought this was a really cool way that we could create value, create impact, inspire people, and then also hopefully thoughtfully rewild some of these species, which apparently will also have ecological benefits to these different potential ecosystems.
Yeah, bring back an extinct species and release it into the wild. What could possibly go wrong? It's not like we've seen this film literally 100 times. There's some mayor saying like, oh, by God, this is going to increase tourism here. They're going to see some dire wolves. And someone's like, you can't do that. Stop playing God, man. How does it end? Take a guess. But before we get to that, there's a debate. Are these pups really dire wolves? Okay, you have on one hand people saying yes, namely the company. They said that they used technologies that included harvesting ancient DNA, rewriting genetic code to create what they claim is a dire wolf. Here it is explained by the Rosie O'Donnell after photo.
We extracted DNA from two fossils that we knew from previous work had some amount of preserved ancient DNA. One was a 13,000-year-old bone, and the other was a 72,000-year-old bone, an inner ear bone. We were able to generate two genomes, two direwolf genome sequences from that.
Using this knowledge, Colossal then made 20 modifications
Putting
to
the wolf to
14
sleep.
genes
Yes.
in the DNA of common gray wolf cells.
Man, this shit's boring.
These
Someone
relatively
kill
few
something.
tweaks to the genetic
Wish I were
code
extinct.
produce some big differences. The dire wolf's white coat, large size, characteristic vocalizations like
And it
that
speaks
howling
French.
you heard at the beginning of the story, and more.
And it's a virtual killing machine.
Is the remaining more interesting?
Yes. Because you'll make it boring
Oh
by
my
saying
God.
It's like they see it as a virtue to be boring. When you're around these people, like, no, we don't want any showmanship
What?
or anything that could
Yes.
possibly generate interest among the general public.
It's like those NPR voices.
Yes, exactly.
You're literally talking about what could be Jurassic Park, and you're making it uninteresting.
I know.
It's either going to kill all of us or be a complete flop. Either way, interesting.
Show us a walking stick, some sap, someone getting torn apart in a porta potty, anything.
Guy's got the charisma of
finds a
Wolf
way.
Blitzer.
We got some wolves coming back. They're 60 million years old.
Yeah.
I'm Todd Barry.
Then you have people on the no side. A lot of people saying these are just gray wolves with a few gene edits. Like there's a famous doctor out there who's, I guess, kind of pretty prominent right now, Dr. Nick Rollins. This does, though, bring up some questions about conservation efforts at large. And they often assume, meaning those on the left, hey, I care about the earth, therefore they have the moral high ground. We see it, for example, with smart cars, electric cars in some cases. Like, this is better for the environment. Okay, until we realize that these batteries require minerals from the earth that come from slave labor countries. The energy that goes into it is far more it's far more energy intensive, slave labor intensive than, for example, just getting a gasoline car. And these are giant non-recyclable batteries that go into the earth and stay there forever. Right? There are consequences. Remember cash for clunkers? The idea was, let's make the roads more environmentally friendly. So rather than driving old cars into the ground, we incentivize people to trade them in to be destroyed so they could use that money to purchase new cars that have to be manufactured, again, largely through slave labor and energy intensive means. By the way, download the app. If you are watching right now live on Rumble, the app, follow us here on the app. We're migrating everyone over from YouTube and Facebook. You only get notifications when we are live. Rumble owns live. YouTube's dead. It's not a live streaming platform anymore. Now, keep in mind, before we move on, I want to give you a few examples of where environmental intervention has screwed up. But this company, Colossal, they're the same company on the case trying to revive the woolly mammoth. Why?
Yes.
That's a huge bitch.
Why? Like, I get that it's cool. I understand that it's cool. But again, do you understand the catastrophe that could take place if you bring back a woolly mammoth and just say, like, well, let's just let the cards fall where they may? Do we really need woolly mammoths? Right now, a lot of Americans, right, they're having to ratchet down their belt. They're having to be careful. They're having to make some cutbacks. You want to bring back the woolly mammoth? At what point is it not seen as a necessity? Let me make the case here. There are some things that nature has created that were a mistake. There are many species. You know, you talk about the dodo bird, the woolly mammoth, Rosie O'Donnell.
Mosquitoes.
They're annoying, although they do feed fish. I understand that. Nature's worst is, do we need Snake Island? So for people who don't know, we've talked about, Snake Island is an island off the coast of Brazil. It's about 110 acres. There's 1 snake per square meter on the island. There are some, by the way, snakes that only exist on this island itself. Like, we have to preserve this ecosystem, otherwise it could disrupt the other ecosystem to which it has no connection. It is an island where if we wipe it out tomorrow, it would only affect the ecosystem of that island. They have flying snakes. They have the golden lancehead pit viper. 1 bite is fatal. We have an island full of snakes. My point here is we need the woolly mammoth about as much as we need Snake Island.
When it's time to get away, to leave the hustle and bustle of everyday life, to abandon your worries at the door, there's a place that beckons off golden coasts of Sao Paulo with open arms in Snake Island. Sandy beaches and miles of coastline with not another human in sight. Snake Island, an actual place, averaging at least 1 deadly snake per square meter, crawling with Mother Earth's most evil creatures. Venomous snakes, flying snakes, snakes that hunt in packs. It is literally filled to the brim with deadly snakes. It's a place that leaves you grateful for all the modern-day basic bitch white guy problems you have at home, should you ever make it back alive. So pack your depends and book your travel today, and prepare to ask yourself, why the hell don't we just nuke Snake Island? Your trip begins at the gates of hell.
It's a thing.
It shouldn't be.
Snake Island is a thing. I know you'll say I'm being insensitive. I don't care. I really don't care. Let me give you some examples. References are always available. Links in this. Oh, sorry, Nick, you were about to say something.
What's more dangerous, being caught on Snake Island or Epstein Island?
Ooh. Well, I guess it depends on my age and gender.
Is Bill Clinton there?
Yeah. Even then, I'd still take my chances on Epstein Island. I would still take my chances. I'd rather end up being someone's blood bag than have to face flying snakes.
Yeah, that was a creep. I didn't know those existed. I thought you were just kidding.
Yeah, no, it's blood transfusions. Actually, Johnny Boy knew a guy who got a blood transfusion in a hospital. He was in his, I think, 70s or 80s. He'll tell the story. Got a blood transfusion from a younger guy. His gray hair went away.
What?
Yeah. All of a sudden,
it fell out?
It was just for men, actually, right after it.
No, well, that could be. Now that I think about it, yeah, he could have just
gray hair went away, but he lost 2 legs and an arm.
It's the life budget.
Elvis in a wheelchair.
So they always just assume, hey, we can be a net positive. The left always assumes, or these environmentalists, they assume that we are always accidentally a net negative to the environment, by creating houses, driving cars. But when deliberately intervening in the course of nature, it's deliberately a net positive. Let me give you some examples where that's not the case. Wolves, since we're talking about dire wolves. 1974, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service officially declared gray wolves as an endangered species. So there was a conservation effort to reintroduce wolves across North America. Okay, that happened through the 90s. There are unintended consequences. In this case, moose. Moose populations declined by up to 90%.
Jeez.
And elk up to 80%. Now, it's not just due to wolves, but if you search, Google, Grok, moose, their top predator, wolves. I'm sure it has something to do with it, but the environmentalists will never tell you that. They'll say, oh, it's some kind of a tick. Okay, did they exist pre-moose boon? Yes, it did. There are unintended consequences. And the craziest thing is in Michigan, there was a vote on a wolf hunt because people in the Upper Peninsula were having problems with wolves, and it was voted down by hipsters in Detroit. They should have no vote.
Agreed.
In the wolf hunt.
Seems like a county issue.
It really does. They're going, well, if you get rid of the wolves, then we'll have more coyotes. And the people in northern Michigan are going, yeah, we're more concerned with the wolf problem right now. Yes. We'll deal with the
We
coyotes.
don't want black people getting rid of their pit bulls, replacing them with wolves. And for the love of God, man.
Plus, have you tried to drown a wolf in a bathtub when it loses a fight? It's incredibly
Oh, my God.
difficult.
You got to throw the toaster in and everything.
Well, you actually had a story. Remember, you were on a film set, and there was a Native American, I believe, like wolf trainer. He was a wolf expert.
He was a stunt guy who had a little side hustle where he would lease out male timber wolves to the movie industry, and he had this giant roster of Native Americans for extras, and that was his business. And
What?
Yeah.
Talk about a niche.
He told
Today,
me.
hold on, I only have sitting bear, walking duck,
Yeah.
and Carl.
And hit on 7.
His pinnacle was Last of the Mohicans. Done.
Now he was known as the go-to guy if you needed Native American extras.
And wolves.
Or wolves,
And
yeah. And he had a wolf, a male timber wolf, in the back of his truck, chained up, and everyone was petting this thing. 150-pound was beautiful animal.
Yeah.
Why would you pet it, though?
Yeah,
Holy moly.
he fed it from his mouth as a puppy, and this thing totally trusted him, and it was he had some amazing stories.
Well, he said at 2 years, they would always attack him, challenge him, right?
At 2 years, a male timber wolf doesn't even know this consciously. They have to challenge the alpha. It's going to happen.
I saw an interview with that guy.
Yeah.
Right? He's missing half his nose.
That's right, yeah. And he was challenged. He said when it came on him, he was in a hotel room, and business picked up.
He said it was in a hotel room with one, right?
Hotel room?
Yeah.
With his wolf. They allowed pets. And so...
Yes, we do have a $50 dog deposit. Oh, my God!
Yes.
My wolf wants to know, is there a continental breakfast?
No, he said the room was trashed, and he had to beat down the challenge. And he said when he got it off the ground, lifted it up, and it submitted because it can't do that to you. So it totally.
Yeah.
But if
Like an old UFC fighter.
Then did he French kiss it with French toast in his mouth?
Yeah, really. This is.
but here's the interesting thing: if he ever shows weakness, ever,
Who,
the
the
challenge comes again. Because the alpha has.
Are we talking about the Native Americans or
Yeah,
the
Native
dogs?
This guy was full-blooded Mohawk.
I just couldn't live on those pins and needles.
No.
You're afraid that you're going to stub your toe, like, ow, and your whole life comes unglued.
Really?
So
Like
as
the
a-
Brian song, you're crying. It's not a wolf is tearing a vein out of your neck. I just hurt my back telling that joke. Freaking old am I.
Are you okay?
Jesus, yeah, I'll be
Fourth
all right.
along, and they won't
It's like
let
you pulled your
me.
neck, giving your
They
wife
won't
the
let me
finger behind
punch.
her back. But if he was ever doing stunt work, he had to put the wolf away. Sequester the wolf away. Because if, it's play fighting, it doesn't know it.
Yeah.
If this guy takes a hit, shows any weekness in a stunt routine, when he gets home, the challenge comes again.
You were
Now,
What
I will
happens
tell
at
you
the
this, I
Waffle
can-
House? You show any weakness during breakfast, you get stabbed.
And I asked him, I said, if I came over to your house, would this thing attack me? He said, no, it's not like a dog. It wouldn't attack you. It would look to me to see if I was accepting you into the den.
Yeah, that's
and then
a
it
little
would
too
love
much.
you and be all over you and you'd be fine. But if you came in
With a top
aggressively,
hat.
it would eat you. It would consume you. It wouldn't bite you like a dog. It would eat you.
Well, that's same with monkeys. I was on Louis C.K. show. They had a monkey on the set. Not long after that lady got her face chewed off.
Yeah.
I was scared shit. I was supposed to be in the scene, and I wouldn't.
No.
And then the guy said that the trainer who was taking care of the monkey, yeah, he's sensing that you're a little. And I go, what does that mean? Well, he might get a little. I'm quoting. He might get a little nuts. I go, yeah, but in layman's terms, he might get a little nuts. I go, what are you shitting me?
Yeah.
And everybody else is petting it and stuff. I wouldn't get near it.
No, monkeys freak me out.
I saw that Asian.
So if the wolf has to defend the place,
yeah.
another challenge is coming because the alpha showed weakness.
Now, by the way,
the wolf had to do
What would he do with
should
like
have
a
been
Girl
doing.
Scout ringing the doorbell?
Leave the Samoas. I can't corroborate that, but that's what the man told. Hey, anyone out there who's a wolf expert, tell me if that checks out. But I can tell you that the wolf population and moose, that's
when did this become Mutual of Omaha's
I love
Wild
it. This
Kingdom?
is one of my favorite episodes.
Let's move on to
Marlon Perkins
bears.
here.
Oh,
bears. Proof that God likes to have a little fun. The only animal that consumes you alive with complete disregard. A lion bites you so you bleed out because it doesn't want to fight. A jaguar crushes your skull, drags you into the tree. The bear burrows through your body cavity while you are alive because it has no other predator that could challenge it. It's just a non-issue.
My favorite animal on the planet.
So there are over 500,000 brown and black bears in the United States.
Too many. Too many.
DEI.
They were hunted to near extinction. Okay, that's a problem at one point in time. All right. Then you had bears being reintroduced to the United States. They regained, I think this is more so black bears, but we did the same thing with grizzlies, 60% of their former range. Now you have the brown bear population, for example, just exploding in states like Wyoming because of some conservation efforts. So, unintended consequences. Now you have to decide if you line up on team human being or team animal, because they'll always blame people. Well, actually, it's your fault for being attacked by a bear because you live in a house. So the unintended consequences? Well, now bears have run into far more conflicts with human beings.
Here you go, feminists. Come on, get up.
Hey, you guys got clock bars.
Is it going through TSA?
How'd that sound? Did that sound like the first line to...
Got to resolve that chord.
So obviously we want to make sure that there are bear-resistant containers out there for
Jim Gaffigan.
to put their trash into.
Jim Gaffigan was a monk.
But we want to make sure that can is bear-resistant enough.
He's swelling from...
Is it a child's car seat?
Look at, the baby's
My
gone.
Lord.
Oh.
Watch this. Oh, my God.
Hey.
Playing with the inflatable.
You okay?
And here's the thing, by the way, since I believe in the last few years, in 2022, I know there were 46,000. We've seen a 2.1 times increase from 2015 as far as human and black bear encounters. Okay? Now, here's something else. We're also seeing more fatalities from brown bears across the country. And they will blame people. But you see more bear interaction where people haven't necessarily expanded their territory, right? People live in towns. We're human beings. So again, the solution is eliminate all people, because if a bear finds out they can get free food from the trash, it's done. You can relocate them. They're going to go back to the free food because they're designed to survive. They're not trying to thrive. Why would they go try and hunt for fish? Why would they go scavenge for food if they know there's free food in the trash? So the consequence is more people get attacked at this point. There's less hunting, and it's your fault. We just need to eliminate cities, and we need to eliminate human beings from the area because it's the bears' land. We're just renting it. Here's the funniest one to me: mountain lions. What? And by the way, before I continue with mountain lions, if you are not a Rumble Premium member, do consider joining. We're going to continue with 100% more show today. And Nick DiPaolo, Jasmine Crockett, the racist. We have a segment there for you. And if you're not a member, it's $99 a year. You get everything ad-free, an entire lineup of shows. If you're not a member, you can continue watching for free. We'll send you on over to Tim Pool today, who no doubt is talking about the tariffs. But mountain lions. Okay, so there was a big movement for conservation for mountain lions, even though they're not considered an endangered species. But here's what's funny about mountain lions. This is a perfect example of how privileged, largely white people trying to save the earth can't.
Yes.
If you preserve mountain lions, if you say, okay, we're going to introduce more mountain lions, or we're going to make sure that you don't hunt mountain lions, you end up with fewer mountain lions because mountain lions are incredibly territorial. One male mountain lion has a hunting radius that is 100 miles, and it will allow no male mountain lions. She's like, hey, we're going to introduce him. This guy's like, crap, I got to kill more mountain lions.
Another lesson on borders.
Yeah, exactly. There's a mountain lion in a MAGA hat saying, build a wall. So they're
self-deporting.
There's nothing you can do. If you kill mountain lions, we'll have fewer mountain lions. If you preserve mountain lions, the mountain lions are going to kill them, and you end up with the same amount of mountain lions. They will allow no other male mountain lions in their territory. They'll allow a female mountain lion in exclusively to mate, and then immediately kick them back out. So I guess mountain lions aren't all wrong.
I love that.
Where did they get thumbs?
Oh, my God. Was that a menthol?
Life finds a way.
That's life.
It's racist.
Then he punched her in an elevator. Can we break that up again. That's one of my favorite Photoshops ever.
That really is well done. Holy me. That's me watching the game. Is the wife.
Yeah, come back and I'll kill your boyfriend. Here's another one. Seals. So it was a huge conservation effort. Again, all references available. There was a reason. There was overfishing, seals, we get it. Right? Same thing with whales. We needed their fat to light our lamps, and then we moved on to oil, but now we're not supposed to use that. So there was a conservation effort for seals. So the population quadrupled.
Seals and cropped.
Since the 1970s. And what are the unintended consequences? Far more sharks. Far more sharks, because there are more seals. So then the sharks go, hey, there's more food. And the seals are often on shore, so the sharks start coming into shore. For example, in Cape Cod, they saw interactions or detections of sharks increase by 15 times. There were 3 attacks in the entire 20th century in Massachusetts. Since 2012, there have been 5.
And 4 of those at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes, exactly.
Amity means friendship.
Yes, it does. It's
close those beaches.
At least there's always a mayor. So here's the thing. I get it. I understand you don't want no seals. Sure, but it also disrupted the ecosystem as far as more sharks, more seals. We'll get to that. But again, if you are on the side of human beings, you also understand that, hey, far more, like it's a 5-time increase here or a 15-time increase. Maybe there's a split the difference. You had people in a town, I believe it was Cape Cod or surrounding town. There was a documentary, I think, Great White Summer. I highly recommend you go and watch it, where the townspeople are talking to a city council. They have some ecologists or they have some conservationists there.
A guy named Quint.
And the people who all sound like they're all part of the Kennedy family.
Yes.
Like, I'm not concerned about the sharks. Bobby's out there and he can't swim in the bay. Here's actually, I believe, a clip of one of these town halls.
I'm curious if you're aware of any studies that have looked at the impact of seals and sharks beyond just the commercial fishermen. I mean, I'm aware of neighbors that are moving away, people that are not going to be vacation anymore because of the sharks.
Right, and I don't know, I can't give you any quantitative figures, and you can add to this when you know of any more, but I mean, there's lots of other areas that have thriving economies where there are also sharks and seals, like in parts of Florida, parts of California.
I don't think those places have the trajectory of sharks that we have here. I think the trajectory and the future is where there's grave concern. People are not coming back.
People are not coming back. People are being attacked. They're concerned, but it doesn't matter because something, the environment, we need more seals, we need more sharks. Here's something else, an unintended consequence. Seals, right? We wanted to stop overfishing, but then we preserved the seals. So I don't know if you know this. Seals eat fish. So in some cases, the seals have hurt some of the fish populations and certainly the lobster populations.
But the biggest factor impacting us is the seal population here. We used to be able to go anywhere from about 8 miles to 25 miles out to go catch codfish. But over the past 10 years, the seal population has decimated the inshore fishery. So what used to be a thriving fishery close to home, we now have to travel anywhere from 50 to 125 miles to really be successful at catching codfish.
And I don't care about sharks. I'd be totally fine if we had none of them left, and I don't think anyone would miss them. I remember the good old days when I was missing half a hamstring out here surfing. Which brings me to 5 animals that absolutely should be extinct, according to yours truly. It's a new segment, Crowder's Top 5.
You know it ain't no lie. It's Crowder's Top 5.
This week, top 5 species that should be extinct. Oh my God. Number 5. Anything on Snake Island. Anything on Snake Island should be extinct. And then numbers 4 through 1, just spiders. This has been this week's top 5.
You know it ain't no lie. It's Crowder's Top 5.
That picked up.
Yeah. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.